Well, good morning, everyone.
Good
I see
morning.
we have some empty chairs, but maybe the smoke disturbed somebody this morning. They didn't want to go out, but they can't breathe and they can't do this and that. So they stay home, shut the windows, put the curtains down, and go back to bed. Anyway, see, anyone that, Joe, you're the only one I can ask anything going on that you want to tell people about. I don't see any more of the department heads.
Dottie's still doing her trips. The June newsletter is out, and if you can read that very tiny, small printing, you can see where she's going next. I have pictures here if anybody wants to see those. I think the council is doing well right now. And I don't know how we're going to proceed with this, if this new company is going to come in and do the houses on Route 58. But they said that they would build a senior center if and when they put the houses in there.
Do you know
And
what?
Darlene has talked to them about that.
Okay, all right, so. No, I haven't seen anything more in the paper about it, so I didn't know if it was
No, I
dropped
haven't
or
either,
what.
and I haven't been going to the selectmen's meeting.
Yesterday, Darlene said it should be in a year and a half.
A year and a half, I'll be dead by then, okay? Well,
Gene, anything that,
Well, Generations is having their
Generations,
fur
you want us-
festival, on Sunday, so to raise money for Council on Aging, so it's a $5 registration for each dog that comes, and there's gonna be vendors, and, hot dogs, hamburgers for people. I think there's a truck for ice cream for the dogs, a paw truck or whatever. So that goes from 12 to 4 on Sunday. We were rained out last Sunday, so hopefully we'll have plenty of people come for their dogs.
okay, well,
anybody who wants to join Generations can do so at any time, but we will be having, in August, we will be selecting new members to be on the board, right? Okay. Because anybody can really join anytime they want.
will it be a general election?
There will be general elections in August.
When do you have your meetings?
They can I don't know, I haven't talked to John yet, I'm going to see him Thursday, he said. But if you are interested, just let any member know, go over to the Council on Aging, there's papers there for you to sign. And if you want to be on the board, let me know, and we'll put you up for election.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. For our speakers for the future, I'll go over there with you. July 11th, and as you remember from last meeting, the first Tuesday in July is the 4th of July. So our meeting in July is going to be on July 11th. And that's going to be, the speaker will be Eric Machino, and he is the person we've been trying to get for a while back. He is the deep sea fisherman, and he's going to tell us about his life at sea and some of the new rules and regulations which are not helping the deep sea fishermen, and state rules and federal rules. So he'll be our speaker on July 11th. August 1st meeting, we're going to have one of our members here, Fred Kerrigan. He will be giving us this little information about the senior citizen safety, which is in Halifax only. And the program is mostly about getting the speed limits on our highways down where they belong. And also, there's so many traffic lights. Every time you move, as you go down below the road here, you're in traffic lights. And now with more open spaces now, John Desrell has moved out. You know anything new, John, of who might be going in that area where John?
Fred,
into where Venezuela is.
Yeah.
They're still working on trying to get Starbucks in there and the urgent Beer Center. That's still coming back up again. So that hasn't been gone by the board yet.
So right now, there's nobody going there.
There's nobody scheduled to go in there outside of the storage facility, which is going back in behind the auto parts store and the bank. And it will come out at the same driveway as the Stop and Shop traffic light. That will be their driveway coming out.
Wow.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, Fred's going to be our speaker for the August meeting. That'll be on August 1st. September meeting, I'm going to try to get a hold of Tom Curtin. He is one that owns the Turton Oil Delivery here in Halifax. And he said he'd be glad to be the speaker, and that's going to be probably a little lengthy because it's going to go into how oil is interactive with the oil we have that comes down from Canada down, and it belongs to us, and what the oil that comes in from other refineries, and how it affects the cost of gasoline and oil. So he would be our speaker in September. In October, I don't have one right now, but what I want to do is to get a president or vice president of a bank, local bank, I can get one from Bridgewater, to go over and explain what is happening to our banks right now and the reasons for it, and what's going to happen to correct some of this stuff that's going on with the banks. A lot of people wondering, what are banks? How are they going to be? Are they going to be like they used to be? Are they going to be here and gone tomorrow? Is it going to be like Compass Medical? It folded up and we didn't know about it. Things happening now that never happened before. And it's strange that all of a sudden life in this country is changing, going down. I call it going downhill because there's so much going on that can't be corrected. I don't think they know how to correct it or what's going on. You get so in Washington can't even get enough money to keep running, and they have enough people in Washington that they're paying salaries for. What are they doing? Why does it take 4 months to decide if we need money or not? I can do it at my house in 10 minutes. I need money or I don't.
You don't spend money.
That's why
And that's why.
So anyway, that's going to be the speakers up for September and October. Gene, if you wanted to put it on there. If there's a change, I can let you know.
I'll send out an email about that.
So right now, our speakers for today is head speaker is going to be from the health. He is the health agent, is Bob Valerie, and he's going to go into the health department, how's it run, what's to do, and some of the problems. And then we're going to get into the part of the old landfill that we used to have in the back of Circuit Street, and the other street that crosses over.
Laurel Ave,
Yeah, Laurel. And who is taking care of that now, and we'll go to that. So would you please welcome Bob Valerie? So,
Thank you for showing up. You know? I'm really happy to be here because, first of all, you can shout out whatever you want, whenever you want. I'm really not thin-skinned, so just trying not to throw objects and make push over there and distract you.
you go right ahead.
You know, but I just want to give you a snapshot of what your health department does, because it hasn't changed. I think the pandemic pretty much brought it to a forefront of why do we have the health department? What do they do? And what does it do? So I put together a couple of slides to try to bring it together. What does the health department do? And you can shout out any answer if you want, because you probably won't be wrong. No matter what you say, some way or another, the health department's probably involved in it, even taxes. So, first and foremost, we try to be educators and promoters. People call the office with questions, so you have to educate them, and you try to promote public health initiatives. So during the course of my job, I try to know, plan, and prepare, because we're responsible for promoting health initiatives, humans, animals, and for the environment. So when I say know, plan, and prepare, I'll jump back to the pandemic. We weren't 100% certain. We had some guidelines, we had some ideas, but it was constantly changing. I know hurricane season's coming, okay? To have an extra case of water in your house won't hurt. You just leave it off to the side with a jar of peanut butter, and then the day that they say, hey, it's a class 5 hurricane, you're not running to Stop and Shop behind 500 people in line. So we have cyclical things. Water testing in the beaches for cyanobacteria. I don't test in the winter, there's no cyanobacteria. In the summer when people are swimming, okay. Ticks, triple E. So I know a lot of things because they're cyclical, but there's other things I have to try to plan and prepare for. What's the worst thing? And fortunately, working together with each town department, the state, the federal government is really how we survive. If we're not able to collaborate with everybody, you just got 10 people going in 10 different directions instead of all focusing on one thing. And when I said, you know, just public health's going to affect you one way or another, people in our industry call it a cradle to grave job. From the minute you're born until the minute that you pass away, somehow, some way, the public health department will be involved. And just throw this out to you is, any action that you take, you have to think to yourself, is the risk of what I'm doing worth the reward of what I'm going to get in the end? So, hey, some of the things we protect. Air quality, indoors during the pandemic, outdoors, water quality. Right now, there's PFAS, heavy metals, arsenic, toxins. Don't always get concerned with a little brown in your water, because it happens, right? Happens here in town. The first thing somebody says to me, Bob, you know, the water's bad, it's brown. I say, yep, it is, it's brown. So one of the things we would usually do is take that little bit of brown water, not really brown water, still ruins your clothes, but, and then a beautiful clear bottle of water and say, which would you rather drink? Everybody goes for the clear bottle. Well, in the meantime, it's got arsenic in it, and you're going to die. The other bottle that's brown simply has slightly high iron content. Very displeasing, certainly things that the town is working to correct, its pipes, its filtering, it's this, that, but in the big picture, water, air, water, food, how we all survive. Yeah, we do restaurant inspections, product recalls, shelter, have to make sure, hey, whether it's you having your own house or during a storm. And the big one that's really hit the plate is climate change. We just don't know exactly what's always going to happen. But being prepared for it is a big responsibility. And then we issue the permits to make sure that the licenses that we issue somebody ensures that they'll be compliant. So it's one thing for me to say, hey, I want you to do this. I can enforce that. Excuse me. Prevention. If you can prevent something, it will help. So we provide the risk communication to keep people informed of what's going on. Meaning, what do we actually know that happened? What do we know? Not what do we think, what do we know? Then, what are we doing? And what do we expect to do next? Those 3 steps will bring you through almost any problem that you have, because we have to try to expect something unexpected from happening and worry about the fears or chaos. I don't know if the healthcare facility closing, for example. I didn't know that that was going to happen, but there was fear in people because that's where they needed to go. Well, so now we know what happened. We've recently posted information on our website to say what are we currently doing, and then we'll take it to the next step. So we work together with DPH. It just happened to pop up right now. So, during certain things, you can plan on it. Other things, not so much. So how do we do it? Thorough investigations. We're the only regulatory agency that actually takes anonymous complaints. So you can call and say, hi, I'm Mary and I have this, or you can say, yeah, I have this. So we consider them valid. And all we follow, be kind and respectful, remain fair, firm, and consistent, because sometimes people aren't going to hear what they want to hear. And then don't leave somebody hanging, just tell them, here is what we have for you, not because Bob thinks so, because we follow the laws, the regulations, and the guidances. We have enforcement powers through the general law, federal law, codes, town bylaws, but with all this power behind us also comes a lot of responsibility. Do it right or don't do it at all. My favorite part, trusted resources. When miscommunication gets out, us trying to fix it is extremely difficult because people don't always use trusted resources. Are you going to a credentialized source? I recommend mass.gov. I recommend the CDC. I recommend Medline. There's a mass helpline now, which helps with any kind of behavioral health. COVID put the young, the old, and people in between through a bad spot. And this is becoming more and more critical in the things that are happening. So, on my town webpage, if you were to just click on to Halifax, the town of Halifax, Board of Health, left-hand side, I have the A to Z's of public health and links to everything. I mean every trusted resource that I currently use. Because personally and professionally, I don't trust social media. I don't even go on Facebook. I'm afraid of it. Rumors and gossip just get out there, and the tabloids tend to go either way. So I'd be remiss if I didn't throw it out there to say, before you make an opinion, please look at both sides because it's a hard thing to, for us to fix. Just a couple of examples. These are actual codes that I write enforcement orders for. Title V, septic systems. All of Halifax is on a septic. No public thing. Do the food code, the tobacco control, housing, pools and beaches, recreational camps, beavers, okay? Believe it or not, beavers fall underneath the Board of Health, okay? It's part of the Mass General Law that if during non-hunting season, same as when you hunt a deer or hunt a turkey, you can get a license. Well, if it's outside of the beaver trapping permit time, and the beavers happen to back up a river, and the river happens to back up onto a septic system, then we have environmental health concerns because we now have septic all over the place. So the beavers have to go away. Same thing if they were to block, I think Pine Street's a pretty good example because there was a potential location there, and when that blocks up, then it floods the road. Well, then people can't get through the road. So anyway, we do have the power to have people trap beavers outside of the beaver season. As long as we prove it. Again, follow the rules, laws, regulations. And then nuisances. Oh boy. I don't like nuisances. But nuisances get tough because it's not as firm as, hey, I broke the speed limit. Speed limit said 30, I was going 40, I get a ticket. Well, if we all smell the same in this room, but my mother-in-law can pick up an odor from across the street. I can't smell something in front of me. Noise. Hey, my father-in-law's deaf and his TV's louder than I can tell him, but he thinks he needs to turn up the volume. And like dust. Well, yeah, there's dust or there's not dust. What created it? So DEP just tells us that DEP is Department of Environmental Protection. Tells everybody, call the Board of Health, they'll fix the problem. And I'm standing there like a dummy going, okay, hold on here, I'm gonna look into what the problem is. I'm gonna get the facts of what is causing the alleged nuisance, and then we'll make a determination. So, as I go through odors, noise, dust, and the other regulations, all of a sudden, I said, I've got partners in crime here, which is where I believe Maryland's Landing is going to pop into place. So, Maryland's Landing, Circuit Street, Laurel Street, used to be a big landfill for the town before me, and I don't even want to know what went in there, but anyway, then it gets capped over, and Maryland's Landing has a project that's going on beside it. The reason I brought it up is because it seems to culminate everything from, are you healthy? Do you want to stay healthy? Is it a nuisance? Is it this? Is it that? I mean, it really drew together. And is there any misinformation, or maybe even worse, no information on what's going on out there? So I said, you know something? I'm usually working with these guys anyway, and they're calling me. So I said, hey, I'll inconvenience them. So I asked them to come in. Marilyn and Emily are here, the owner and a worker on the site. And I just thought I'd give them a couple of minutes, or as long as you want, actually, but to describe what is the project, the scope of what's going on, and where's it going? What do we know? Where have we been? What do we know? What are we doing? And what's the final plan? So, Marilyn, you in the mood? Emily, you can come if you want.
No, thank you, Bob, really.
Oh.
Hi. No, I'm thrilled that Bob asked me to be here. I'm Marilyn McDonald. I reside in Bridgewater, Mass., and I have worked closely with Bob and the towns for several years on this project. Had I known, I would have given you this for that. Back in the old days, Peggy had the big sticky with me, so with board help. But communication, like he said, is key. It's huge. So I'm so happy to be here so that there's no miscommunication and that you guys fully understand what we're doing, because I can tell you we're very excited and proud of this project. That is a two-town project. So just to give you a little intro in history, again, I'm Marilyn McDonald. I am site operation manager with Maryland's Landing, I didn't name it, with McDonald Industries. I'm also a nurse at Brigham and Women's Faulkner Hospital for 40 years, don't do the math, in the nursing supervisor role. So health, we definitely share. McDonald Industries is run by a family. I have my beautiful niece here, Emily, who's studying environmental ecology, and she runs the scale house. And we have all family and friends that are on the site every day operating it. So we communicate very much with the police officers out front too, to make sure that safety, anybody on site, stuff like that is adhered to. So again, just to take you kind of what we are, we started operating in 2013. What this actually is, it's a joint project between Bridgewater and Halifax. So this is approved by both towns, Bridgewater and Halifax, and Mass DEP. So for some of you that might remember I'll be honest, young, having children, didn't know what was going on when that landfill was actually in use. I believe it closed in 1992. So with the Bridgewater parcel, we decided that we were going to put some solar, but it was too low. So we actually ended up working with Mass DEP on a soil fill, and working with Halifax we've been working together since 2011, to be honest, going through all meetings with, making sure traffic, everything's in control to start the project. So we actually started billing in Bridgewater back in 2013. So just to give you an idea of what we do, it is, Halifax got involved in 2021 with Republic Services. So that's when probably never even knew we were there. And as you see things going on the landfill now, we want to make sure that you have the right information and truly know what's going on. And, we don't want rumors, and we're very much in contact all the time with, I started with Kathy, God love her, But I have two towns, so I have Bridgewater too. So lots of communication. So again, happy to be here. But in 2021, we started what we call a post-closure use on the landfill, which the landfill's not open. It is a post-closure use, which is permitted through Mass DEP. What we actually do is we take soil from construction sites. A good example is my own hospital right now, Brigham and Women's Faulkner, is doing 3 jobs. So all this soil comes from basically construction sites. Anything you see that's being built, even home stuff like that. So we have 3 jobs right now on the hospital premises: a new building, which we desperately need beds, as you know in the Commonwealth what's going on. Garages. So things like that. The soil is highly, highly regulated by Mass DEP. And I can tell you when I first started, because I would never have thought I would have ended up doing soil as a nurse for 40 years, so I was very nervous. Like, everything is very highly regulated, tested. We test more soil than we do on an ICU patient. So we have our guidelines with our background that we started with that was tested, and then it has to meet our soil acceptance criteria. And that's checked 3 times by the generator that's doing a job, by our LSP that, is a licensed site professional that makes sure that it's within our Mass DEP in town approved criteria. And then we also send it off, where we're working with Republic Services now, we also send it off to their peer review. So nothing comes in that is not heavily tested and regulated. And like Bob,
Marilyn,
yeah.
just to add on, so it's tested 3 times, but it's looked at a 4th time. Because,
Oh yeah.
so that they can tell me that they're doing the testing. So I just show up at random, and I go, "Hi Emily, how's it going today?" And she goes, "Oh, good, Bob's here." And everybody always tends to step back from the Board of Health, even though I don't tend to be that way. However, and I say, "Show me the slips. I want to make sure that what they're telling me is true." Because if I don't have a piece of paper that proves it, I tell the truck to go away. Or I call Marilyn, or I say, "Hold on, I'm shutting you down until I know what's going on." So they've given me the enforcement powers to not only ensure they provide me with the appropriate paperwork, but to come in and do a surprise check.
We welcome it. We have an open door policy. Everything on this job, that's why I'm very proud, the family's very proud, it has been done by the book. We are by the book, so we are very open to either town, Bridgewater, Halifax, come on down. I'll leave my cards too. Anybody has a question or concern, you're always welcome to call me. I'm 4 miles from the site. We are at that site every day, checking in on weekends. Sunday's a good bit. No, just kidding. So we want people to understand this is done, we're on site. Like, we do this by the book. So just want to, make sure that everybody's comfortable, and if there's any question at all, to please, always, your first to go is always your local, as you said, Bob, and I'm always available too if anybody would have a concern. So just to, continue with that, as I said, this has been approved by both towns and Mass DEP. So we started the approvals. Bob wasn't the luxury of 16 meetings with Kathy, but this has been, ongoing for a long time. I've been through Board of Selectmen, stuff like that. We stay in lots of communication. Your former administrator, Charlie, I would, even before Halifax side came in, we would have, I would update him every couple of months just to let him know, yep, nothing's changing, this is what we're doing. So lots of communication between the 2 towns. And most of all, big permitting with Mass DEP, because again, as a nurse, I know if I have to put an N95 on to walk into a patient's room, we want to make sure that we're in our soil acceptance criteria. So lots of communication and permitting with Mass DEP that ensures our public health and safety. I care about everybody, of course. And obviously, we're on site every day, so I want to make sure that everything is, what it's supposed to be. We're not taking anything that's hazardous. There's things that go on in the world that we make sure this is the safe home. It's highly regulated. We test our wells. We're on, we've got inspections. We have, many companies that come in and look at us. And most of all, if it's, like you said, I was looking for your slide, but it wasn't there.
Right.
A good resource to go to, a trusted resource, is Mass DEP has a site, it's Reclamation Soils, and it lists everything that we do on there. It will show you our soil management plan. It will show you what comes in, during the month, what came in from different jobs. It shows you our permits with Mass DEP, our permits with the towns. It's good reading till you get to one point and then you're gonna fall asleep. But if you're up one night and you can't get to sleep, you might want to open the soil management plan. But everything is on site for the public. And again, if you have any questions, please ask me, because the least thing I want is miscommunication out there. What we're kind of doing with the landfill is, it's an old one, so I call it the makeover. There's areas on that landfill that need fixing, so Mass DEP suggested that we also do this project. We looked at very nicely with the state on our compliance with this project and a safe home for soils to go to, so soils aren't getting deposited where they should not be. So that's kind of it with my, nutshell. If there's any questions, please feel free to ask, and if I'll leave cards too.
We've been up here since 1978. That's, I think soon after that, it was capped over. I don't remember the dates when it was still being used or capped over, but
Yeah.
how high is this thing?
How high is it going to go now? So excellent.
When you look at this place from the street, and no one can go in there, it's restricted, but
Yeah, for safety reasons.
will this pile ever go down? I mean, you have pipes and stuff with gas removals, I guess it is. Now, does that gas go off on its own? Or how?
So the gas is still so the actual, and great questions, and this is what I want. You're going to see a big pile out front right now, because what that is it's only going up 20 feet, the original site assignment. So there's site assignments on both properties, 141 on Halifax, 144 on Bridgewater. Sometimes you might see large piles. Those are what we call stockpiles. Loam is like gold. So when a job comes in that has loam, we stockpile that so that when we slope it at the end and we slope different areas, we have the loam on site. To go out and buy that loam would be, like we say, it's called gold. So when you're seeing something on the street, that's not the actual level that it's going to be. It's just a stockpile. And that can be misunderstanding for people thinking, oh, wow, they're going up high. No, it's just a stockpile. So it will, like I say, it's a makeover. It's going to get graded and shaped very nicely. Again, it's an old landfill. It has some dings. It has some, liner. It has some issues, and it can get, it has some issues. And we're going to do a nice kind of makeover, and it will be the original height of 144, 141. So yeah, I mean, if you wanted to come in, you could call me separately, because again, with trucks coming in, and I'm a big mama bear safety reason, That's why I'm like, kids with their motorbikes, you can't come through our area because God forbid, so we have to keep safety in line always too. Just like if I'm running the hospital, if I'm down running the site, same thing. Safety is going to be #1 priority. But yeah, excellent question.
I didn't know if the gases caused any earth movements at all. Like some of the houses, I think even our own house, the cement cell floor cracked. And this was when that thing was more, it's just capped over. And is that gases does gases carry under earth in anywhere?
So they had the landfills, because back in the day, that was a solid, like a municipal solid waste landfill. So it produces, all those landfills produce natural gas. So when it closed, they had a gas, thing out front to produce gas. To produce gas energy, sorry for my brain fog there, to produce gas energy. That closed in 2012 because the landfill didn't produce as much gas as they thought it would. However, they still have what I call it the double torch, and your officers come in and make sure that it's lit, every night. You can see it during the day. There's still always some methane that comes out of a landfill, even if it's not producing energy anymore. So yes, Republic Services we're responsible for all the soil that we do out there, but Republic Services is still responsible for the maintenance of their landfill, making sure that the gas pipes are good. We have great communication with them. I've got to say, their local boots on the ground have been phenomenal working with us, and they're a phone call away. If we think there's something going on with one of the gas wells, we'll call them. If we see the double torch out, so they continue to monitor that. So there hasn't been any gas producing energy in years from there, but our plan where that is kind of like a turnkey, we want to do for the two towns a solar array at the end. So you would get a solar array for both Bridgewater and Halifax platform at the end would be what the beneficial use would be.
So you're always going to have the control of it.
So, I mean, Republic Industries owns the Halifax side. But McDonald Industries owns the Bridgewater side. But we do control and work with Republic and take care of everything. We're on site every single day, even on a Sunday. We're 4 miles away. We're right there every day.
How many gas pipes are there in that whole unit?
Ooh, I'd have to, I mean, again, where we don't have anything to do with the gas, we just let them know if there's, like, hey, I hear a hissing, or like, we just let them know if there's a problem. We haven't, to be honest, we haven't had any problems with the gas. They raise them up when we have to go up with the soil so that they're doing a thing. So they're gonna be there, those gas will probably be there for the life of the landfill, where there's always gonna be some type of methane in every single landfill that closes, but again, not enough for it to produce energy. Our goal at the end will be to put the solar array there, where it's already a phase 2 setup from the prior energy with the gas, and have that for the, across the 2 towns. So that's the end goal of that.
Yeah, the landfill that we actually have right behind us, by the highway barn, it's basically the same thing. But, it's, they have methane testing, water testing, that goes on these sites, because again, when they get capped over, there's parameters that you have to follow. And then you have to make sure, well, since we don't really know everything that got thrown in this place, we better monitor, the things that we can monitor.
Yeah, that was
Recently-
an unlined landfill, originally 1978 it opened, and it was one of the first capped landfills that was closed in 1992. So it took in, again, I wasn't part of the landfill or anything, but it took in municipal solid waste, things like that, and it's, you can see it depressing in certain areas as the gas went out. So I can honestly tell you what we're doing, Mass DEP support, because it's helping the landfill. It's giving it that kind of support and makeover that it needs as one of the older landfills in the state.
And we just, I think, 6 months ago or so, we put in air quality monitoring. Maryland put it in, I suggested. So now they're actually monitoring not only the air from those gas pipes or any leakage, but anything that could be in the air, like particulates from the dust. And you can't smell anything there. I've been there 100 times,
Yeah.
even with my bad smell. So it's nice to know every time we ask for another step or something more to be done. So far, they're extremely cooperative, whereas I can't always say that with all the investigations that I've conducted.
Well, we would want to know, like I say, I was so very careful with this always because, one, I would never want any public, harm to anybody. 2, we're there every day. My husband, my brother-in-law, my son, my niece, like I say, I know when to put an N95 mask on. So we did do a study with the dust studies. Again, landfills, the old days took in COM 97. We're not at that, type of soil or anything, but we did a full respiratory, fine particles, so a full respiratory, what you would take if you were dressing by, if you the daily worker, things like that. We've done. The nurse wanted a risk analysis of any harm that would ever come with any organ. So we've done all of that research as an added thing too. So you want it, ask please, because you know what, I want to make sure everything's done to the A+.
There's a lot of cars that go up in that area that Alvaro, when they get to the end where it's pavement in, but they all go in there somewhere.
Oh, the power lines has a lot of activity, yes.
Is the landfill, is that all fenced off?
Yes, yeah. So they go into the power lines, they can get into the openings, I can tell you from, I think is it Thompson Street it starts? Yeah, so, we do have security cameras. I can tell you there's a lot of activity that go up and down. People walk their dogs there. That's not, that's, I believe it's Edison's property. So, and you have the, kids with bike rides and stuff like that. But that's not part, they can't get into the landfill, that's why.
That's what I mean, is that all fenced in?
Mm-hmm.
It is. is, so.
Yeah, they used to cut through, so we did fence that, because again, go have your fun, but I just don't want you, if there's ever, truck entering or exiting, I don't want to bike during school vacation, or anything like cutting across where there would be a truck coming into the main entrance. So that was my concern, that's why we fenced off a little further down on the entrance sign, was so the bikes would, not enter through our site, God forbid there was a truck at the same time, and that was just a mama bear in me. That was the reason for the fencing up front. But yeah, the whole landfill's fenced off. Yeah.
Now, when you do all of your exams and taking and putting more on it, you go through Laurel and into...
No, we enter right on 106. So right after you see the entering Halifax sign, so right after Nick and Angela's Plaza,
Yes.
that's our entrance, right there. So literally the first right after the entering Halifax is how we enter. The Laurel Street side is all locked up and closed. We have that secure with the pipe, not a pipe, but a telephone pole across it. So there should be no entry. I mean, I think one truck had an address wrong. It was like, gas monitoring for Republic, and because back in the old days, I think Laurel Street was the official address of the landfill. But yeah, and you'll see if you drive by, you'll see signs out front, Maryland's Landing, 946 Plymouth Street. So they enter right through there. So literally that first right after entering Halifax is how you get into the site. Yep. And again, I'll leave my card if you want to come down one day with me safely in the truck. I'll take you around, but we don't have people coming.
It's really not too exciting, because I was legitimately, I forget what the wind chill was then.
Oh my God, that was the coldest day in
February. Because, allegedly, and there was dust, but there was also dust my entire way from Plymouth to here. But doing a full and thorough investigation to legitimize the concern with anything, not just Maryland's. 100% compliance is always our goal. Is it always achievable? No. 99? Probably. Less, to me, unacceptable, but so, there's always going to be a little something, but then the ability to have cooperation is what says, okay, well, it went wrong. How do we fix it? What can we do? Do we do it together? Are you going to roadblock me? I have other complaints that I get where, he's getting too deep and I'm not going to get what I want. And I'm like, you're the one who called me. Unfortunately, I'm going to be fair, firm, consistent. I'm going to follow the rules, the laws, and the regulations. And at the end of the day, if you're my favorite person, and I have to tell you no, the answer is no. If I really didn't like you, but you followed, the answer is yes. So be careful what you wish for when you call the Board of Health, but we'll be here for you 100% of the time, I guarantee. But that's where and how I have to be.
I relate as a nursing supervisor. I get all those calls as a nursing supervisor. But you take those and then you learn from them too. And I believe that you come out stronger in the end, because then you're like, all right, we can do this. And you actually end up putting better tools in place than you had to start. So I take that as a positive, and it always,
It really is.
And, again, I'm very thankful for the cooperations with the towns. I can't say enough about the Halifax police officers, always checking that site to make sure that, we don't want anybody in there because of the safety reasons, I know where every inch is and where the roads are being built and this and that, but, God forbid a kid, but they don't know, So again, both towns have been extremely, extremely cooperative, and I couldn't ask for better. We do certain things for the towns too. We take in your street sweepings and your catch basins. We test those and we take them on, and we take them for no cost for the towns. Things like that we work with the towns on too.
So Bob gets the information before you do all this each year? You get the information,
Bob gets shared everything that we do. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, everything has to go through the town's Board of Health, their departments, Mass DEP. years and years of permitting behind this. This actually started in 2011 with the permitting, so it took, it's a long, long permitting process. And I got to know the town members, both Bridgewater and Halifax, very well through all the permitting things. So they know me, it's an open door, transparent policy. I want to make sure that everybody completely understands what we're doing. And again, this is my community too. We're right on the line, Bridgewater, you know, we're here. This is our community also that we care deeply about. And like two children, I have two towns now that we that we're taking care of. So
Unfortunately, you know, I'm a firm believer that I'm stronger in numbers, and my counterpart in Bridgewater, who's Eric Badger, he's the health agent. So the two of us are on board when it comes to the decisions that get made there. It's not like, okay, I think this, I think that. So I have strength in numbers. And one of the things that you didn't mention, but when a truck happens to go down Laurel Street, told you accidents can happen. Well, the guy takes the wrong route and he goes down Laurel Street and then he comes back out, and then you get to donate money to the food bank. Part of what happens is you have cameras everywhere. You find out on camera that a truck went down the wrong way. They get to the company. Long story short, food bank gets money.
And if I miss it, I do have eyes on Circuit Street. That'll let me know. So, but yeah, and that was, my husband was from 8. So, you know, we're big food pantry people as far as support and stuff like that. So we give them a map, we give them, you know, instructions, they have to sign it. But I'll tell you, as a nurse, you can't always control human behavior. So if they miss that and they go, even though we get no truck signs, no turning around, if they do that, they're made well aware that you're going to write a check to the Halifax food pantry.
Well, what I heard a while ago was that Halifax has nothing to do with that area at all. Nothing.
It's private, yeah, it's privately owned, so it's a Republic, it's not a town landfill. Your town landfill is right by the cemetery, yeah, out back here. So, you know, it's Republic Services, it's a private landfill.
Right.
So
there's no actual work going on in that landfill, but your business is actually helping keep it capped correctly.
Yeah, yes.
So Republics is doing it but being overseen by DEP, and you're actually helping them with the corrective actions because the landfill, to your point, when the methane gases rise and fall, you'll get depletions in the soils, which now means that a cap that used to be capped really good, all of a sudden it's got this hole in it, and that line is not quite right, so they'll fix the liner, they'll put the right soils over it, DEP will come in and bless it, and then we're making sure that gas gets burnt instead of leaking up into the air.
Yeah. And DEP was just on site April 20th for a site inspection, and the feedback was they were very impressed with operations. So that's great to hear that, you know, the state, believe me, when I want them to pick up quick, I call from the office at Partners and they pick up. But, you know, so we're very in tune with the state, our local board of health. They're welcome anytime, always at the site, and the state came down too, and the feedback was they were very impressed with operations. Again, you know, the state likes to have a safe home for these soils, and, you know, we want to be doing the best operations, best management possible that we can in our community. Again, this is our community too. I am your neighbor. I am right next door.
A few nights ago, maybe a week ago, there was a huge explosion in that area, and I was wondering if that had anything to do with it.
No, I did hear that. Yeah, I did hear that. But no, we'd be like.
I don't know if the police.
There's been
any explosions or anything.
Yeah, there was one on the West Bridgewater line. There, we were away, but I did. You know, again, don't take it on Facebook. But I heard somebody say, "Did you hear a big boom?" But no.
Would that happen? Would it happen?
With the, not to my knowledge. Again, that's all we public.
Methane.
But
it would, if it didn't have the fires burning or venting, then yeah, that's what they worry about, because, back, long, long ago, far, far away, when I was a store manager with Stop and Shop companies, their Kingston store is actually built on top of an old landfill. And they have devices within the building that measure the methane gases to prevent an explosion. It would tip you off ahead of time so that they know that they could take preventative measures. So, yeah, could it happen? It's highly unlikely.
It can happen.
Oh, yes, I mean, it could blow up from just the toxins that might have been in there. But I don't know if people threw dynamite in that landfill.
Well, we didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything to do with the town having parties anywhere. It was not a 4th of July situation.
Right.
But it was a large explosion, and it sounded like it was in back of us, which would be that old land area back there. So we thought maybe it had something to do with the gases maybe building up somewhere around.
Yeah, no, like I said, they took the main, it doesn't produce a lot of gas, but that doesn't mean it's not producing methane. So that's, and I can always have Chris,
Find out where the boom was from. I mean, usually.
I know the boom wasn't from us. No boom from us.
In the event that something happens on a weekend, a fire, and it doesn't have to be Maryland's Landing, a fire, a boom, I get messages on my machine. Well, I'm not back in until Monday. I am 24/7. When the police call me, when the fire department calls me, Council on Aging, school department, but just for a regular, somebody calls the office, well, they'll call and say, hey, there was a boom last Saturday. Well, now I'm already like 2 days out. If you think something's wrong, that's why they invented the police and fire department. They're 24/7, like right there, and then they pick up the phone and say, Bob, get down here, we got a situation. So,
Yeah. And
just
sorry.
I throw that one out there, because I don't know what the boom was. I know the other, I forget what state it
Sometimes
was,
there's,
where, no, jets went by.
Yeah.
Sonic jets or something went flying somewhere, and there was a huge boom, and everybody thought that, the town had just got bombed or blew up or whatever, and it just turned out to be, I don't know, them reacting to, whatever it was.
So just know, we check this site 7 days a week. There's a big sign outside too. If you need us right away, 24/7. The police and the fire have our code to get right into that gate if they ever needed to. They've been shown around, but we're right here 24/7 also.
That's good to know.
Yep.
Yeah,
In
it's,
case Bob was on vacation or something.
so, good. No, that was perfect, because that's gonna prelude into what I got coming next. Thank you for showing up today. I'm telling you. Great questions. Yeah, we'll keep you. Everybody's
Well,
doing
maybe
it.
we'd have to call the police and see what they say. Would that be something, Joe? Would you be interested in anything like that?
Honest Joe.
Okay, that's
So-
all. Anyone else have any questions besides me?
You're the only one who lives up there.
Believe me, I got good eyes on you. I'm taking good care of the place. Well, thank you. Again, thank you, Bob, so much. I was so happy to.
Thank you.
let it know.
I thought that was sort of fun. I just got one more quick thing,
Thank you.
and allow you guys to leave, but he does.
24/7, let's keep that.
So we started this off with, what does, public health do? Hopefully, I gave you a pretty good insight. To be good at your job, you have to embrace the next challenge. And somebody brought up, what if Bob's on vacation? Bob used to worry about that, because during 2 years of COVID, Bob didn't get a vacation, okay? So, fortunately, the town of Halifax currently holds money from the state. So the state said, after this pandemic, we saw the shortfalls, the successes, the shortfalls of how public health was funded, and realized towns don't have the funding. I can go to the town administrator and say, hey, I need $5,000 to remediate a beaver. However, they're not going to give it to me unless, so right now, the money that's granted to us services myself, ourselves, Halifax, Middleborough, Raynham, Bridgewater. So they said, here's X number of dollars, take public health to the next level. Oh, wait, if you're not at the level you're supposed to be at, because we're mandated to do a certain amount of things, restaurant inspections. If you're not there, get there first. Now go above and beyond, please. So now we have the funding to do that. And we can also really gear in on health equity. The fires that we're talking about today, respiratory problems may affect the younger or the older, those with chronic heart disease, those with asthma. You don't know, and some of those people have never really been afforded the same benefits I have. I've always had health insurance, I've had to pay for it, but I've been able to reap the benefits from it. So that's how that money will be spent. It will, if it ends tomorrow, Halifax is not on the hook for a penny of it. They don't pay any extra service, we get to keep the pens, pencils, rulers, and erasers. And I have a gentleman who works for me, who's also a health agent, who covers my vacations, Bridgewater's vacations, whatever, and he's available 24/7 too. Luckily, if we work together, I think that's what makes us strong. So that's all I have for you guys.
Thank you.
Hope I didn't take you up too long. Thank you. Okay, one big question.
A number of years ago, not too many, I was manager of the produce department here in Halifax. And
Stop and Shop?
no,
Oh,
in Walmart.
oh, Walmart, okay.
And when I went into that department at age 75 to take it over, I had a crew and then I had an afternoon shift. But in today's marketplace, Walmart has changed their training standards where they want everybody cross-trained in all these departments.
Yes.
So now you get all these new trainees coming in to handle fresh produce or stock refrigerator shelves or what have you. And then they redesigned the store, we put in new displays. But in all of our displays, we had an actual basket, whatever you want to carry, set on there. And you kept these fresh, and you kept most of your produce in the refrigerated part of the produce department. Now they took down part of those displays because they want an open look.
Mm-hmm.
Now they've got these 4x4
Bins.
piled up with peppers that we used to keep in the refrigerated part of the
Cucumbers.
oranges,
Oranges.
cucumbers,
Lemons.
nectarines.
Oh yeah, peaches,
And when I
nectarines.
questioned the people that are working there now, they said, oh, we change those every 4 hours. They are full of it right over there.
You're absolutely right.
But we both know. So anyway, when you go in there to get produce, because it's not kept in the back where it belongs, where does the Board of Health step in on these types of things, or the overstocking of their refrigerator cases, where they got berries stocked 5 high and they're above the front
Right.
glass?
So,
Is there anything that the Board of Health can say, wait a minute, let's cut down on some of this stuff because it's way out of line?
that's exactly Well, you hit the nail on the head. So I alluded back to once upon a time, long, long ago. I was your competition, being a store manager for Stop and Shop. And exact scenario as you. I had a produce manager, a meat manager, this, and then two things happened. One, they wanted to do cross-training, and two, they no longer like cut meat in the store like they used to. So, to specifically address your question, by law, I am required to do 2 food inspections at each of our establishments, whether it be Walmart or Grill 58, okay? If I think I have a problem child, I can do as many as I want. So they get the message real quick. So with overstacking, things like that. Oh, another thing too is, so this, the Walmart in particular, my wife likes to call me and say, hey, Bob, can you pick this up? So not only do they get a full inspection, but when I'm walking through, when I see what you're talking about, I drag over the manager, there's Chris, and I say, listen, Billy, actually, he's in the meat department. He used to work for me at Stop and Shop. You're above the load lines. I carry a thermometer with me and in my truck. So if I'm uncomfortable, I'll go right over and I'll shoot it. And if it's out of temperature, I make them throw it away. No maybe, no whatever. I don't like that. There are produces now that don't have to be refrigerated. For best quality, I would definitely refrigerate them. You know, to your point, that's how they stayed best. I look at their ordering techniques. I look at the cooler first and how it's delivered. You were talking about the sales area, but I have to make sure it came into the building at the right temperature, that the coolers are running at the right temperature, or else we just defeated the purpose no matter how high it is. If it's Memorial Day weekend and somebody wants to sort of stack it high to let it fly, it really makes sense. However, on a Tuesday, I don't need to see pork chops that are up like this. I mean, and they're not even on sale, you know? So, working together with them, I can play that one 2 ways. I can just tell you, don't do it. I'll get compliance until I turn my back. And then they're going to do what they want to do. Or I can get buy-in. Why do I want you to do this? Why is the store there? Wants to make money. At the end of the day, Walmart's there not to make everybody super happy. Yeah, they'll say that, but they want to make sure that they line their pockets. As does Stop and Shop, as does any business. That's what business is about. So I say, okay, well now you've just ruined the product integrity. Not that you're going to die from it, but now it doesn't last. You take it home, you put it in your fridge, you think it's going to be good, you know, tomorrow, and then you pick up the bag of lettuce and you're like, huh? Wait a minute, this thing's already dead. You know, so I tell the company, if you don't think that you would buy it, don't put it out here. Just simply don't put it out here, because at the end of the day, you either tick off a customer, and once that customer's gone, bad mouth goes out about it, sales go down, up, now we got to cut help because we don't have the money, because we're not making what we had to do. And moreover, it without your customer, you're nothing. So I hear you loud and clear. It drives me nuts. I see it not only in this Walmart, I'll see it in almost every store I go into. You check a market basket on a Sunday afternoon, and you're looking at the place and you're like, oh my God, Talk about load limits, because there's a little line on the case that says how high you're supposed to go. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. But anyway, right? So now the stuff's up to here. And legitimately, I went down to the other end of the store. And I was on my way back, and I'm like, oh my God. That place is like a factory. Some of these stores I've run $2 million a week stores down the Cape. You know, to me, they're food museums. They don't turn over product like I used to turn stuff over. So I get very concerned about exactly what you're talking about. I won't be foolproof, but I'll get them to buy in when they're doing it wrong. And that's a good time too. That's when you can always pick up the phone. Hey, I was there Saturday. Just doesn't seem quite right. Usually if you think it's not right, it's probably not right. Did that answer your question?
Do you have the authority to lay a fine on these guys if they don't follow your rules?
I have the authority to shut them down.
Or do you, when you see something like this, do you say, wait a minute, I normally do 2 inspections. I'm gonna stop back 2 weeks from now just to spot.
All 3. You're absolutely right. 1, I can fine. I have to admit, fining is the last avenue I want to go down, only because I want cooperation and I want compliance. Yes, I can fine. At the end of the day, if it goes to court, it costs me more to go to court than it did to recoup the fine money. The one really good thing I have on our side, though, is I just have to call up my board, because the Board of Health runs independently of the Select Board. So if I call and I say, hey, Chairman, I want to shut this place down and I want to do it right now, he'll say, get in touch with Candace or get in touch with Pam, speak to them individually, or we'll call an emergency meeting, and I can close that place within an hour, you know. So, and yes, as far as, you know, doing extra walk-ins, I think they like to see me. I don't wear this thing on here for nothing. Because when I'm walking around the grocery store, I deal mostly with the managers. But I love to observe. And what I see out of the employees are like, if all of a sudden they grab something, they go like this, like, oh wow, I had a kid who used to do that. I know exactly what you're doing, you know, so, yeah, right, I like that, and I've been really fortunate because, again, when I walk into a store, I think I've now built relationships that they know I better do what he wants done, because if we don't, then he's gonna, I call it the hammer of Thor, throw down my hammer of Thor, because we do have a tremendous amount of power granted to us through Mass General laws that at the end of the day, I can use it. Don't abuse it, use it. Okay.
I have a question. A lot of people buying their eggs outside the store, you know,
Yeah.
their farms and so on.
Right.
Question is, so the store, you know, they refrigerate them, but when you buy them from the farms, they tell you not to refrigerate them.
Right.
And not to wash them
Right.
until you use them. So
Right.
what do you do?
What do I do? First of all, I don't buy those eggs.
How do you store an egg? What's the proper way? Is it refrigeration?
It depends on if it's pasteurized or not. You know, the eggs that you get within the store, they check and they, you know, and then they need to be refrigerated. Of course, back when I started in the stores on Easter, we had all the white eggs out in the middle of the store aisle because everybody was coloring eggs, and and to the best of my knowledge, nobody ever died. But the reason why they don't have you wash the farm fresh eggs are because that shell is actually porous. So once you get rid of all the yuck on the outside of it, especially through washing it. And then if you refrigerate it, you've now absorbed anything that you didn't get off of that egg into the egg. And then therefore, the shell might have been contaminated, but if you crack the shell, you can wash it right before you use it, and then put it in, you're all good. There's a big miscommunication with, wow, this is clean, it must be sanitized. No. Even if it looks dirty, but I spray it with sanitizer. Sanitizer is either bleach or a quartz agent, okay? I can come back and I can see this coffee stain, but it's sanitized. Or I can scrub this thing as clean as you'll ever see it, and then I went like this. I didn't sanitize it, and that's dirtier than it was seeing the coffee stain there. So I'll go back to the water bottle thing. Well, yeah, it looks brown, but it's safe to drink. It looks clear, it's not. Washing and sanitizing, two different procedures, but they go hand in hand. Wash, rinse, sanitize. 3-bay sink, okay? And they also have a special cleaner for the vegetables that get cut up into your cut fruits, into the different salad mixes, because one of the big problems is you get a nice cantaloupe in the summer, and you say, oh, wow. Start slicing that puppy up, right? And then, oh, this one's good. Except now you've just taken all of the stuff, bacteria, that is on the outside of the cantaloupe, introduced it onto your knife, cut it into your cantaloupe, and lo and behold, 2 hours later, you go into the bathroom. Wonder what happened. So they do actually make, either wash them really good, or when it gets into the cut fruit departments in the produce, they actually have a separate sink with a separate sanitizer to clean the outside of the fruit or vegetable to ensure that. So the fruit, vegetables, so it goes with what you said about eggs, and I'm not saying that the farm eggs aren't safe to eat. I don't like eggs in general. See, you make me think. So if I'm inspecting a food truck or a breakfast place, their eggs have to be from an approved food source, not Joe's excuse me, farm stand, because Joe owns the farm stand, or Joe owns a chicken coop. He goes, hey, I can really make a fortune if I sell my eggs that didn't cost me anything, compared to buying them over at Stop and Shop at $5 a dozen, when they, or $10, whatever they were. So everything comes from an approved food source, and we don't regulate outside eggs, just inside the building.
Just kind of curious as to how you're supposed to store them and stuff, and how that happens. So on the other subject, one more thing. Would you talk about the free clinics, off the compliance issues for the stores and so on the free clinics that you offer through the Board of Health for once a month?
Yeah.
Just talk, let us know.
Today, excuse me, today was one of them. Laurie Montori is your town nurse. And every Tuesday, well, not every Tuesday, every second Tuesday of the month, the calendar's up there. She will do blood pressure checks here at Town Hall. And she also goes over to the Halifax Meadows in general. And she's always available to ask a question. She will not provide medical advice, but she will at least say, you say, my blood pressure is this. I think you should call your physician right now. So her services are limited, but she is also a resource that's available.
No diabetes checks?
Not yet, nope, nope. Not out of the realm, but then we'd have to get the test materials, and things like that. So,
It's not really something that we want to delve into because of the fact you can get a lot of that stuff through your insurance carrier, and it's supposed to be really administered.
Well,
Especially
yeah.
with diabetes.
right, and diabetes is so prevalent now.
Yeah.
You know, certainly worth considering, but sometimes we have to, make sure that if we open one door, it doesn't turn into Pandora's box too. So we'll stick with what's proven until we can take it to the next step. However, I plan on hiring an extra nurse through this grant money, which would then potentially provide some extra services
That's good to know.
on that. So,
Perfect, yeah, thank you.
what else you guys got? You're killing me. Yes.
Can I add to the egg thing, just to help you out, because my son raises, chickens and we get the farm eggs, and I also use the store eggs. So the rule of thumb with the farm eggs is, and then most companies do this, is 2 weeks, you do not clean them, like Bob said, 2 weeks. Then you wash them right before you use them, and you date them. And if you ever have a question if an egg is fresh, you put it in a bowl of water. If it stinks, it's fresh, like you can use it. If it kind of starts laying up a little bit, then you might want to use it more to scramble, not really like a sunny side. And I think of the floater as no good, such a floater. So if the egg floats to the top, don't use it. So if you ever have a question about the freshness of any farm eggs, put it in a bowl of water. If it sinks, it's good. If it's on its side, maybe scramble it. If it's a floater, don't use it. I just use it. I use cold water, yeah.
It's so funny because there's so many things like that. With all the technology we have, it's tried and true, Or like water goes downhill. We put in a septic system. Yeah, if the pipe is pitched this way, it's not going to run that way, Anybody else? Uh-oh, Joe.
Just a quick one. Now the food trucks and stuff, do they have to, if they come to town and get work in town, do they have to have each town working? Or does like one town, one?
Nope. Each and every town will give a permit for their food truck. So, and even if they're permitted in another town, like for 4th of July, I'll make them come here before the 4th, so I can inspect their food truck. And then I do my research on, okay, already licensed in Pembroke. I know Lisa, I work with Lisa, she's the agent over there all the time. Hey Lisa, what do you think about Joe's truck? Uh-oh, Bob. Oh, good. So then I show up that particular day of the event because you already came in, I just permitted you. Wow, what you doing isn't what you told me you were going to do. And I say, bye-bye food truck. He's gone. So he lost his permit fee, and he shuts down for the day, and whatever food he had on the truck, I guess we'll throw away. That will teach him once. Yeah, there's zero tolerance. But I gotta tell you, some of these food trucks are like state of the art now. I mean, they are pristine. If you ever, Wahlburgers burger truck is like a gourmet kitchen from New York. It is phenomenal, Yeah, well, yeah, so it's the price, right? Okay, what else we got? Good, I'm tired. Oh. I babbled enough.